It is probably the hardest discipline of the shooting sport that you'll ever encounter. Because not only does it take a lot of hand-eye coordination, it's a very instinctive game. There are no do-overs, there's no break point, hold point, and it also is very mental in that the most minute amount of distraction in your thought process will cause you to miss that target.
Bird.
So sort of the history of the game in the world precludes the history of the game in the United States. So several decades ago, there were a group of gentlemen who had shot helice internationally and decided to bring it to the United States. And at that point in time, the game that they shot here in America, they called American ZZs. And the ZZ, which you'll often hear instead of helice, has a number of different origins depending on who you talk to. Some people say it is for zigzag, so they called it ZZ. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they say. But at the time when they were shooting the American ZZ, the machine was very similar to the hand-loaded machines that you still see sometimes in the United States. But the target was a metal target made of zinc. So the other term that I have heard the ZZ comes from is the zinc Zorito. Zinc being the metal target, and Zorito being a type of pigeon that is shot in Europe. So whenever you shoot pigeons in Spain, it's a Zorito.
This game is like clays on steroids. I mean, they fly like mourning doves, they fly like pigeons. Sometimes you would swear they have eyes, the way they run at the fence and at the very last second jump up and jump over it. Well, the game of helice is shot on a course that looks like a tiny Little League baseball field. There are 5 machines out there. All of them are 20 meters from the fence or thereabout. The shooter shoots from 26 meters or backwards. You press a button on a microphone. It's voice activated. So you press that button, all 5 machines start up. And you say pull, bird, cough, any loud noise is going to cause one of those machines to throw. Thing about it is, you don't know which machine is going to throw the target. You don't know where it's going. So you have to find it, move smoothly to it, and break it. And you have to separate that white cap from the orange wings and cause it to fall inside the fence, inside the out of bounds mark. There are some other rules that apply to the game, but basically every time you go to the line, you're going to have an opportunity to shoot at 5 presentations. You can shoot at each one of those presentations 2 times. You don't have to, but it's available if you need it. Only exception is on the last bird, on the 5th bird of every crank, and 5 birds is called a crank. The race is 30 birds. 30 birds is called the race. That's a complete game. You do have to empty your gun and show that shell before you turn around on the line, or that last bird is lost.
The United States Helice Association was founded by a group of people who wanted to put some organization around the sport and to be able to promote it. So there's two missions as part of the United States Helice Association. One is to promote the growth of helice in the United States, and the other is to promote the selection of a United States team to represent the country internationally. So those are two things that are really important to the Helice Association, and we continue to send teams internationally every year to represent the country. And every time we have a selection match, it is a match that helps us select our team on an annual basis.
One day we were hunting with some guys from Birmingham, and they told us about an helice ring they'd put in at Selwood, and invited us to come down and shoot it. So Stephen and Benny and I rode down and toured the place. They had a really first-class sporting clay range. And then we went down to the helice ring, and we'd never seen it before. Stephen had shot it once years and years ago when they called it ZZ birds. We shot it. I never even came close to hitting the target. I think Benny hit one. Stephen hit 4 or 5. But on the way back, for the whole 2.5 hour drive, he just talked about how we had to have one. He said it's the most fun shooting I've ever had. I didn't think too much of it. I'd never been a clay shooter to start with. But he just kept on, and finally he did all the research. And finally, after 30 days, I said, look, I'm building a kitchen. I can't afford it, but our company can't. But I'll partner with you if you'll build it. So he started, he had all the plans, did the whole thing, set it up, built the first ring. Second year we built the second ring, third year the third ring, and we were starting the fourth ring when he died. And he was as happy and as content as anybody ever saw when he was shooting birds. And he loved helice shooting. And he told Xavier he was trying to sell his water business, and he said, if I sell this business, you're going to get sick and tired of me, because I'm going to spend all my time over there shooting helice and working on conservation at the farm. And then, all of a sudden it was gone. Interestingly, his grandson had started shooting just a little bit. And since Stephen died, the kid's shooting in the mid-20s now. He's shooting Stephen's gun, wearing Stephen's vest, got Stephen's shell bag. And it's almost like Stephen's out there shooting himself.
Bird. Hi folks, I'm Xavier Fairley right here at Black Prairie Helice. I'm the in-house shooting instructor, Orvis endorsed, National Sporting Clay certified. And I want to take this opportunity to personally invite you to come out in the month of July and experience the Nationals that will be held right here in West Point, Mississippi. I mean, this is a great game. The Helice Nationals is a big deal. We're looking for upwards of 250 shooters, and I really, really want to challenge you to come out and be a part of it. Thank you.
Prairie Wildlife is hosting the 2022 US Helice National Championship. And the Helice National Championship is typically the biggest event that we have on an annual basis in the United States. And it's also sort of the culmination of it. It's our last event of our qualifying year. So when I mentioned those folks who are trying to qualify for a United States Helice team to travel overseas to represent the United States, the National Championship is their last opportunity of the year to do that. So Prairie Wildlife has hosted the National Championship before. They held it a couple years ago and had a great turnout, had 100 shooters who came from all across the country. And since 2 years ago, since the 2020 National Championship, we have continued to see Helice growing. We've seen a lot of people from all over the country, whether or not they have a Helice ring close by, shooting Helice. So we've gotten a lot of really positive response from people who are planning to come to the National Championship. Prairie Wildlife is doing some fantastic things. So basically the way that Helice works is you're constrained by the number of shooters that you can run through in an hour. And typically the way to go quicker is to put in more rings. But because we shoot what we call cranks of 15, which is you shoot 15 birds at a time, and in a 30-bird race you shoot 2 of those. So having 4 rings doesn't really do you any good because you still have to go through twice if you shoot 20 birds and then come back and shoot 10 birds. What Prairie Wildlife is doing is putting in 6 Helice rings. So it will be the only place in the country right now that has 6 Helice rings. And in addition to that, they're putting in a practice ring. So shooters can practice any time of the day. If they have a bad ring and they want to go get warmed up, or maybe they shoot later in the day and they don't want to have to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning to practice, they'll be able to go shoot on that practice ring all day. But Mr. Jimmy really he just dove in to the game of Helice, and of course he had the assistance of Stephen Imes, who was one of his great friends, and they both just fell in love with it. I think Stephen fell in love with it first and dragged Mr. Jimmy along with it. But now it's something that I truly feel like Mr. Jimmy loves the people who shoot Helice. He loves the game. He wants the game to maintain the integrity of the sport. And he loves hosting people. He loves having people at Prairie Wildlife. And it just shines through in everything that he does and everything that happens out there.